Yeah, hello, Starlight, Starbright, and all that. This is Saturn J Blues, the Lost Stargazer, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit sad. I had a video about Ned Fulmer and how he used his wife's trauma, his ex-wife's trauma, to restart his brand, Rock Bottom, but my mic decided nah, and that was it. Like if I put the video up, you won't it work this. So I was just like, you know what? That was a message telling me not to do it, so I didn't do it. So, heartbroken and sad that, 2 hours of all that work went down the drain. I was minding my own business until I saw this. I love Yu Hakusho. Let me just get that out of the way. Kuwabara is one of my favorite characters of all time. Literally everybody in the Yu Hakusho cast are like the best. Like, I love the Japanese dub, I love the English dub, I love the manga, I loved everything about Yu Hakusho. So when I saw this video, I was like, how do you forget about Kurama? How the hell do you forget about Kurama? One of the most devastatingly handsome, plant wielding, like, heroes in all of anime. Like, how do you forget about Kurama? Hell, how do you even begin to forget about Kurama? So I was like, you know what? Instead of watching this on my own, we're gonna watch it together. So let's get into it.
Kurama is a vicious criminal. But it's honestly very easy to forget that. Actually, it's kind of easy for me to forget about Kurama in general. Now,
okay, so before we get too deep into it, Kona did a fantastic job with that little opening AMV and the editing of that, which of course is going to tell me that this is going to be a banger. I'm gonna be honest. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this one. So let's just keep going.
no, of course I don't mean that I literally forget he exists. I don't look at pictures or watch the anime and find myself talking like Kiki Palmer.
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is.
But whenever I think back on the series, I often think of the Dark Tournament, one of the best arcs in like anything ever, that somehow manages to be action-packed, emotionally poignant, grandiose, and yet intimate.
I agree. The Dark Tournament arc is legit the best tournament arc in all of anime, not just Yu Hakusho, but in all of anime. It set the standard of what tournament arc should be. And no, I don't count Hunter x Hunter in that, because technically that whole show is a tournament arc, and that just doesn't count. I mean a tournament arc. This did a fantastic. Yu Hakusho is like the grandfather of tournament arcs done right. Like, the only anime I think will come close after that is the tuning exams with the asterisk, of course. All right, let's keep going.
Complexity, intrigue, and the uniqueness of the chapter Black Saga. I think of the brash delinquent who learns how to allow himself to care, the lovable fool whose morals and heart just can't be stopped by anything, and the cold-hearted killer who finds warmth in his companions and allows himself to care about something other than himself, and all the intense moments of butt kicking that take place in between and around all that. There's so many things that have me looking at my Yu Yu Hakusho Blu-rays like Snake talking about.
Kept you waiting, huh?
But unfortunately, Kurama is usually the last to come up whenever I reminisce about the series. In a lot of ways, Kurama gets overshadowed by the more in-your-face personalities and actions of the other members of Team Urameshi.
And that's true. Kurama is very like low key, but I feel like that kind of fits his style. Like Kurama to me has always like it's like the face of like he's always calm, he's always cool, he's always collected, and he's very cerebral with everything that he does. And he forms an important part of Team Urameshi. You can't have a show with only hotheads. I mean, you can't. It will make the show horrible. You need that low key, kind of aloof, older brother character. And Kurama is that character. Still kind hearted, but kind of aloof, ready to get, his hands dirty, to complete the mission, but has like the empathy and care. Like, because Yusuke has the empathy, but it's buried, within all that toxic shit. Kuwabara has it, you know, has it in spades, honestly. And he like kind of grows to learning what empathy is and stuff like that. Rama has it from, the jump. Like every anime needs like that cool, calm, collected, cerebral character. They need it. Not only to make the anime successful, but for the fangirls. Because I have a working theory. I have a working theory that every successful anime needs that cool, aloof older sibling. I mean, you could say Hiei is that because he's an actual older brother, but Kurama kind of exemplifies the Oni-chan complex, as I call it. Like, think about it. Think of every successful anime and ask yourself, is there an aloof older brother that all the fangirls flock to? Shishomaru for Inuyasha, Byakuga to Rukia, Itachi to Sasuke, Neji, even though he's a cousin, he kind of fits that same mold, to Hinata. And that's just a few off the top of my head. Vegeta to Tarbell, even though we didn't know Vegeta was an older brother until Dragon Ball Super. Still counts. Like, you need to have that aloof, cool older brother in an anime for it to succeed. Like, what's the most recent? JJK. Chozo to Yuji. And then Gojo to all of them. And technically, you could say Kakashi too. But, like, you see what I mean? You gotta have it.
That just demand more real estate within my mind. It isn't really until I'm rewatching the series where I remember how much of an impact Kurama actually has, how great he is as a character, and how dastardly the man really is. Of course, Kurama is not pure evil, but I mean...
You
I don't know.
About that? You sure about that?
And that's the least evil thing
the name
he's
of the
done.
game is duality. Kurama is characterized by his genuine human kindness and his true demonic heritage. That balance, along with his cool, calm, and collected nature, makes it so that he kind of flies under the radar until viciously reminding you who he really can be. When we first meet Kurama, he's super unassuming. If you look at him, he really doesn't seem to fit with this gang of hooligans that robbed, like, the waiting room of heaven. Kurama looks like just a guy, and he's even wearing a school uniform. Then when Yusuke shows up to do his ghost busting, he just politely excuses himself. Off the bat,
Pretty much, yeah.
we already have some strange contradictions, and you kind of don't really know what to make of him. Once Yusuke actually interacts with him and we learn that his only reason for stealing the mirror was to save his very human mom, and the fact that he comes to Yusuke's rescue while he's fighting Hiei, it's easy to somewhat write him off as just a super nice dude. And when you have this dude literally eating souls and this freaky little eyeball man...
Fun fact. Ye never uses that form again. Like he never like he used the Jagan Eye, but he never used that form again. I think the reason he states is because Yusuke was able to find out its weakness on it, and he realized that form was a weakness to him, so he never used it again. Just a little fun fact.
It's almost possible to forget that Kurama is actually a demon. Right now, he's just a sweet dude doing crime for all the right reasons.
His mama.
But let Hiei tell you, that nigga lying. Sweet human boy, I don't know him. Because the next time we see Kurama is during the infiltration of the Saint Beast's castle, where Hiei tells us,
Do you know why I chose him to be my partner? To avoid fighting him myself.
However, even with that being said, Kurama is still able to slink his dirty demon cruelty past my sensors. Kurama is first up and he fights Genbu, and it's pretty...
Okay, so Genbu is an underrated fight. Like his fight, Kurama's fight with Genbu is highly underrated, and I will explain why. Okay, so let me explain why. As a Yu Hakusho lover and someone who's watched this series a few times, this fight is underrated because it shows you exactly how Kurama fights. Kurama doesn't walk into the fight like Yusuke or Kuwabara, going full tilt, shouting out spirit gun and summoning the spirit swords. Oh, no, 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 no. Kurama walks in, look at him, hands in his pockets. He will not pull out his rose whip until he knows the fight is close to the end. Why? Because he uses the first stages of his fight to analyze his opponent, to see what their techniques are, how, they attack. And then once he figures that out, it's over. Like Genbu, his fight with Genbu is perfect for Kurama. Like I said, he's cerebral, he would be the true cerebral assassin. Sorry, I gush about Kurama a lot because I like Kurama. Like Kurama has altered my brain chemistry, since I was young. With not only his fighting style with plants, like he's the reason why I feel when people do elemental power story that you shouldn't conflate uh plant magic with earth magic, because what is earth magic really? Oh yeah, we can make the earth tremble, we can cause earthquakes, we can crush people with large rocks and boulders and all that shit. Meanwhile, Kurama shows that you can do a lot with plants. You can have plants, infest people from the inside, that you can pierce people with plants, you could cut people with plants, you can create poisons with plants, you can have plants eat people. There's so much you could do with plants. And so I'm like, don't conflict the two. Keep them separate. With your elemental wheel, keep them separate. Earth and plant separate. And Kurama taught me that. Even right now in a novel that I'm writing, I one of my characters uses plants, plant magic, exclusively. And like I said, that's just understating it. Cause you could do anything with oh God. Okay. Let's just continue because I'm gonna get I'm gonna get too into what I'm thinking about, and I don't want to spoil my books, my idea.
I don't know, in one eye and out the other. It doesn't really stick with me. It's not a bad fight by any means, but once the underdog versus Goliath battle occurs,
Fair.
the high speed, high impact, blink and you'll miss it fight with the ice dragon zooms by, and the truly desperate struggle against two birds and a tense race against the clock comes to stress you out, well, I'm just...
Fun fact: I never watched the Suzaku fight. It stresses me out so much. I've never even in with Toguro, with Sensui, and with I think Yomi at the end of the Three Kings saga. I've never seen Yusuke that desperate in a fight than I have with Suzaku. And it kind of fucks me up because like you never see it again. Like he went through some serious shit in that fight. So for the sake of my health, I never watch that fight. Like always skip it.
Just not really thinking about the dude made of rocks. However, I do think that there are some important little seeds in that
Shut
fight
up.
that do show a little of what lies beneath the surface and hint at some things that we would learn about Kurama later in the series. He goes into that fight with the mindset of observe first, almost as if studying his prey. He doesn't even
exactly what I
start
said.
the fight with his weapon out. This is a habit
with his hands
that
out.
we learn about later.
You're playing a dangerous game, Kurama. Waiting to gauge the enemy's weakness before you attack. You could at least draw your weapon.
But it is on full display here. Kurama won't really make a move until he believes that he fully understands his opponent, even if he takes damage in the process. Because that way, once he makes his move, the fight is basically over.
Literally,
And,
he
well,
locks
that's
in.
What happens to Genbu. The true coldness of that fight is kind of downplayed because it turns out that, well, Genbu can just pull himself back together and
But I disagree with that because the true coldness comes to when when Genbu reunites his body parts the second time, and when he realizes, oh shit, why is my body all discombobulated? And then Kurama holds up the red orb that's his heart, and Genbu starts begging for his life, and Kurama's just like, no, and like cuts it in half in front of him. Kurama is a cold individual in fights. He seldom gives like people a chance. Like it's very rare when he downloads when he's in a fight and he downloads their moveset, he's just like, okay, game over. And that person is dead. And it's such a consistent like character of Kurama that he just gets the job done. Hiei and Yusuke can sometimes play with their food. Like they can sometimes play with their food until shit gets really rough. Like Yusuke was holding back even with Toguro, even when he said he wasn't holding back. But Kurama, like usually outside circumstances hinders Kurama in a fight. But if those outside circumstances, like someone being held hostage or something like that, isn't in key, he will just win that fight. Like there's no other way around it. He will just win that fight.
because of Kurama's demeanor, but it's pretty straightforward and to the point, and Kurama somewhat pettily dispatches him while he's begging for his life. Also, it is kind of interesting that Kurama is the only one that doesn't really have any emotional component to his fight. Yusuke is obviously fighting for good and battling Suzaku in order to protect Keiko and the human world. Kuwabara is there for the same thing, but also fights Byakko to prove himself and have an honorable duel. Even Hiei's coldness begins to shift, and he shows an intense anger over the treatment of a fallen enemy, and that fuels his fight against Seiryu. But
That's
for
true.
Kurama, it's just a job and it's gotta get done. It's super easy to not see those things at that point in time, but it's also kind of cool to look back at it with hindsight and see how very much Kurama that fight really was, as well as to see how many other moments and even fight placements can really overshadow something, because that fight is the last one that comes to mind when I think of that arc. After the Saint Beasts, Kurama is kind of low-key during the Tarukane estate infiltration, so not much really goes on with him there, but I think that makes this a good opportunity.
Stop. Speaking of good opportunities, the Rescue Yukina arc is by far the most underrated arc in the series. Like, it's highly underrated. Like, all the other like arcs in the show are properly rated, but the Yukina arc is underrated because one, it's the last time Yusuke, Kuwabara, and Botan are like the trio in the mission. And they all get like proper screen time for it. And it perfectly sets up like it's the perfect it's the perfect like, because you know how like every anime has like that escalation, like with Yusuke, for example. Okay, he died in the very first episode. He became a spirit detective, had to fight Hiei and what's his name, the Soul Eater guy, and then he goes to to learn with Genkai with Kuwabara, and he has to fight Rando at the end and like a whole bunch of other enemies, which is like kind of like the prototype tournament saga. And then you have the Four Saint Beast arc, and then you have this one. Like all of them were like escalating, you know, like two demons. Then you have like powerful like psychics, and then a demon, and then you had four powerful demons. This one was just very low key, and it was kind of like the breather arc. It needed, like Yu Hakusho needed that after the Four Saint Beats arc. But so not only was it a perfect like breather, where it, you know, still had its fights, it also had its humor, and it also set up the god like Dark Tournament arc. And it's literally a very underrated arc, and it needs to be like acknowledged more.
To bring up the fact that Kurama is hilarious.
Come join us here. We're practically a family here.
All throughout the series, Kurama just makes these little jokes or these comments that always just get to me.
Because of his armor. It contains his power.
If it contains it, then why the hell would he take it off him?
No, that's what I meant by contains is that his armor keeps his power from escaping. Definition number 2.
And I just never think about that
Yeah,
until
Kurama's
I'm
petty
rewatching the show.
and funny.
With Yusuke and Kuwabara, maybe even Botan being the characters that you most often associate with being outright funny, I always forget that Kurama is too.
Sorry, Yusuke. He insisted.
I don't even have anything else to say about that. He's just funny.
I think she's gone crazy.
You're hardly the standard for wild outbursts.
The next time we really
That's
see
true.
Kurama active is during the preparation for the Dark Tournament.
Okay, so this scene, right, is the most perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna reveal something to you. I wish someone could clip this scene on its own, because it's such a weird way. Okay, so let me explain. After younger Toguro demolishes a building in front of Yusuke and goes, "This is the last time I save your life. You and Kuwabara are invited to the Dark Tournament saga, the Dark Tournament." He leaves. Yusuke is scared out of his mind. Kuwabara is like, "Why the fuck is this guy alive?" Younger Toguro sees these two and go, "I'm sure you got your invite too." And then he goes on to explain that, you know, demons working with humans, there won't be, you know, any mercy. And Kurama's like, mercy is never part of never part of those tournaments. And so, you know, younger Toguro walks off. And like, you know, it's been established through both, you know, My Little Cuts and through Kona, Kurama is the calm, cool, collected, cerebral, you know, kind of aloof, you know, member of Team Urameshi. So he looks over to Hiei and goes, "What is our chances?" And Hiei goes, "Don't ask." Do you know how much that, like, in that brief interaction between the two, I would say they're still the two strongest members of Team Urameshi. Two demons. Well, human-demon hybrid for Kurama and then demon for Hiei. Someone, like, these two characters have been established to be strong and to not really, and very, like, unflappable. The way these two characters show their concern in their brief little interaction of what are our chances and then don't ask, not only tells us that the Dark Tournament is nothing to be fucked with, but it shows that these two can feel fear and they can feel, you know, trepidation. They can feel, you know, stuff that normal humans, you know, don't, like, in a way, like normal humans fear, and it's stuff we haven't seen them, you know, emote before. And I just find that so fascinating, you know, And that brief little interaction between them tells you so much, not only about their mindset, but how dangerous the upcoming, events are going to be. I just love this show so damn much.
With certain death hanging over their heads should they refuse the invitation, Team Urameshi have a few months to get as strong as they possibly can. So Kuwabara decides to train with Kurama and Hiei. However, Kurama takes over Kuwabara's training because
Hiei cannot prepare you for the viciousness of the fights. Your weakness and his honor make him go easy on you. I will not.
I'd imagine on a first watch that's probably somewhat of an eyebrow raiser.
Yeah, that's a shocker.
You're telling me that Hiei...
Yes, tell them I'm her brother. I'll rather enjoy torturing you to death.
Hiei wouldn't have the heart to go all out on Kuwabara, but Kurama, Mr. I do it for my mama, will. It's a really small moment that you'll probably...
What's also another small moment too is to kind of stress upon like Hiei and Kuwabara's relationship. Kuwabara at that point like has a crush on Yukina, Hiei's little sister. And in Poltergeist Report, Hiei, like the Four Saints Beast, like from the Four Saints Beast arc on, even to like the Poltergeist Report movie, Hiei and Kuwabara are always sniping at each other. And Kuwabara always threatens bodily harm on Kuwabara at the drop of a hat. So for Kurama to go, he's gonna hold back, I'm not, shows like it shows that one, Hiei is not as hard-hearted as he thinks he is, but two, Kurama is as hard-hearted as people don't think he is. Kona kind of just said that too, but fuck, God, I love this show so much. There's so much in the character interactions,
stop thinking about as soon as it's over, but it is a small indicator that any and all kindness will shut off when the job has to get done. And as the tournament starts, Kurama gets to work. In the first round of the tournament, Kurama fights Roto. Hiei is basically like, hey Kurama, kill that guy. And Kurama's just kind of like, yep.
Okay.
And after Kurama's trademark assessment, he's basically just gonna like, I don't know, slap his head off or something. It's only because Roto can play on Kurama's humanity that
the edits are really
prevents
good.
The fight from being over right then and there. However, Kurama's true demon nature isn't halted for long because the plant that he planted through the rock that was a plant turned Roto into a plant for flowers. I tried to be like T-Pain, but it didn't work, so we're moving on. And once again, Kurama kills a man savagely who is begging for his life.
And again, this is why we don't conflate plant magic within earth magic. Because there's so much more you can do with plant magic than you can with earth magic. Look me in the eye and tell me that I'm wrong. Look me in the eye and tell me that I'm wrong. You can't, can you? Exactly.
And it is savage. Because of how flowery and non-dismembery the kill is, it's almost easy to write it off as tame, but plants growing throughout your body then bursting out of it like an alien is pretty brutal. Unfortunately, a deceptively brutal kill and two heavy-hitting moments follow right after that.
Really does.
Kind of just smother Kurama's moment. So back to sweet little Suichi he goes. Because Kurama is sweet. He cares about his friends, he'll protect innocence, and it seems like he doesn't really want to harm anyone these days.
Okay. It's time for me to reveal a little secret about myself. Kurama was like my first guy crush ever. I'm sure you guys don't, I'm sure you guys, probably guessed upon that, but Kurama was the first anime character that made me go, oh, I like him as much as I like Botan or, Ryoko or, Cyber 6. Whoa, okay. Cyber 6 would kind of clue you in too, but Kurama was like the full thing going oh no, I like him. I like him a lot. But that begs the question. I I'm a fanfic writer and I'm a fanfic reader. That's kind of, who I am. I get sick of people when they write Kurama, they write him as a bottom. This dude is not a bottom. Okay? Let's just cut the malarkey. Hiei is a bottom. Kuwabara, definitely a bottom. Yusuke, don't know. A switch maybe? But Kurama, definitely a top. A switch at the least, at the very least. But like he is a top, full out. Like you don't hear of people going, "Oh, Shishomaru is a bottom," or Itachi's a bottom, or Neji's a bottom, or Byakukai is a bottom. No, you don't. So Kurama shouldn't be placed in that type of scenario either, because Kurama walked where all of them could run. And notice how I didn't say Vegeta. No, he's a bottom. He's the sole one that's a bottom. That I just wanted to just lay that out there.
But then there is that dark side that every now and
demon
then pops out just to say peekaboo. And which side of Kurama you get depends on you and his mood. For example, Kurama went into the Roto fight with murder on his mind, but with the ninjas, respect, curiosity, and eventually empathy caused him to curse Gama's death, that was brutal by the way, and spared Toya's life. Now, what mindset he went into the Yuri Urishima fight, I don't really know, but he did eventually succumb to empathy. Yoko Kurama, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Though Kurama's coldness and actions can sometimes get overshadowed in my mind,
Yoko has returned, they cry.
And here is the grandfather of every uwu hybrid cat girl, fox girl, dog girl, every Inuyasha, every Shishomaru, every OC, every canon character with those type of features. He's the grandfather of them all. Again, look me in my eye and tell me that I'm wrong. Look me in my eye. Yoko Kurama walked, so Inuyasha, Shishomaru, and Uzumaki Naruto could run. And look me in my eyes when you say I'm lying, because you know I'm not. Deep down inside, if Yoko Kurama wasn't around, neither of them would be around, and we all know it. Let's continue.
Unforgettable. Kurama's first regression into Yoko Kurama is definitely high up on the list of things that come to mind when I think about YuYu Hakusho. There isn't the sweet human visage to distract you from the dirty deeds done dirt cheap. And there really isn't anything that comes along to obstruct its impact. Kurama said, "So, what up with the box though?"
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. Torture time. The fact that fight starts and ends with Kurama as Suichi Kurama is what Kurama is all about, and is what sparks the conflict within him that he would face in the final two arcs. Who is Kurama? Suichi the human or Yoko the demon? Kurama versus Karasu isn't bad, but I feel like it's stuff that we've already seen from Kurama. Strategy, Yoko, death plant, and then fade behind the other team members. Yoko is the star of the show here, and we get a bit more of an idea of what he's like.
Okay, so pausing there for the fangirls and the fanboys and the fans. But no, I feel like his fight. Okay, so if I'm gonna rank the last four of the boss fights for each of the characters, I feel like Kuwabara, as much as I love him, his will be last. Like his is just purely on the emotional level, because I think that's when that's when he finds out about Genkai's death. That not only Genkai was the masked fighter, but Genkai is dead. So Kuwabara's is more like for the emotional beat. So I feel like Kurama's fight with Karasu did not get smothered by Kuwabara, By Hiei and Yusuke's fights with Bui and Younger Tagoro respectively, I agree. But no, Kuwabara would be the one smothered by Kurama, Yusuke, and Hiei's fights. Not, in the way he thinks it does. I just wanted to point that out because other than the emotional beats, I don't remember Kuwabara's fights. And again, I'm the ultimate Kuwabara fanboy, but I can remember every step of Kurama's fight against Karasu.
Kurama is like. And I think that it is Yoko's impact in this and the previous fight that also worked to make Kurama feel somewhat invisible. For me, Kurama and Yoko Kurama do feel very distinct and separate. In some ways, they actually are, but that separation at some level makes me feel like these are two separate characters, and Yoko's moments are Yoko's moments, not Kurama's.
I can kind of see that. It's kind of like the Sukuna Yuji thing, like before like that all blew up. Like I kind of understand what he's saying, but I also feel like you can't have Kurama without Yoko Kurama and vice versa. It's hard to explain. I feel like I agree with him at some point, but not the full because it's still his victory. Because Kurama, at the end of the day, whether it's Suichi or Yoko, is still Kurama. They're still the same person. So it's just like, personality. It's just like Taisa and other Taisa from Yellow Jackets, which I promise you I will talk about at some point. Before I forget, we're kind of in the middle of it, but like, comment, and subscribe if you guys want to see me talk about Yellow Jackets. I've been dying to talk about Yellow Jackets as well as the fall of the House of Usher, but life keeps getting away. So, please, comment, and subscribe. I need to achieve my perfect form. Okay? I need to achieve it. My baby stargazer form and this human form mine, I can't survive being imperfect with just those two forms. I need my perfect form, and you all will give it to me by commenting, and subscribing. You will tell me you all have the power to help me. So help me. Help me.
So because of that, it's almost like a few of Kurama's most impactful moments low-key don't belong to him. However, the chapter Black Saga is where those two separate identities collapse into each other, and all the little moments finally add up to form the full picture of who Kurama is as a person, and just how great, impactful, and interesting he really is. Kurama is also just more active in the earlier stage of this arc comparatively, giving him more screen time and allowing us to see a bit more from him outside of combat. I think this is important as it helps to make what happens later with Game Master way more effective for me. In the lead up to Sensui, Genkai sends 3 newly awakened psychics to test the gang, and the first up is Kurama's classmate. After Hiei's ego makes him run his mouth reckless,
as usual,
Kuwabara gets low-key cheated, and
as usual,
Goose
as usual,
Kurama to defeat Kaito and reclaim his friend's souls. On reflection,
on reflection, Botan is the Grim Reaper. How the fuck do you and this is not Bleach, so how the fuck do you get your soul stolen, Botan? How do you let a novice psychic steal your soul? Help explain to me, Botan. I love you, but explain to me.
This is actually one of my favorite parts of the series. It's entertaining and engaging without relying on actual combat. We also get treated to a showcase of Kurama being the smart one. We see how Kurama is able to bypass the no violence rule, as well as set up a situation that all but guaranteed his victory. We also get one of Kurama's coldest lines.
I'm warning you. You so much as bruise what's in your hand and I'll show you pain. The hue of your soul will cease to matter because you will not be judged when you die. You will no longer exist.
Now see, if that were me hearing that, I'd quit. I'm done. I'm crying. I'm going home. But this isn't the last time Kurama will come into conflict with humans, because during the arc, since we made it a point to test their moral compass,
dare you risk that erratic weapon among civilians?
By directly involving humans at every step of the way.
Since we was that guy.
Slowly ate away at Kurama, climaxing with their run-in with Game Master. Since we had recruited a child, no, not the buff 14-year-old kind, but an actual child, to face off against Team Urameshi. Game Master's ability to bring video games to life and force all parties involved, including himself, to act out the roles of the characters without exception, placed the group into
on the lowest of keys, in the right situation, Genkai could get it. And I just don't mean young Genkai. I mean Genkai. Also, fun fact, Genkai's voice actress and Kurama's voice actor in the dub are mother and son. I just thought to throw that out there.
an ethical pickle, and Kurama is the first to realize, because by the narrative of the game, Game Master will die if they win. Can they knowingly and deliberately kill a manipulated, ignorant child in order to move on? Being put in this situation really affected Kurama. He really isn't the same demon he used to be, and the killing of a human child that really just didn't know any better will 100% weigh on his soul.
But Kurama had to lock in.
Kurama's demonic mentality allows for him to call upon his practicality and coldness to do what must be done. So, as Kurama steps up to Math Tetris, he's already decided that he will win and kill Amanuma, the Game Master.
That poor child.
Immediately he starts
got
going
thrown
for
under
line
the bus.
games. Kurama said, cool, fun game. You know you're gonna die, right? That boy said, huh? Had him looking around like Mr. Krabs. Kurama explains mid-match that since we used and manipulated him into starting a deathmatch, and immediately he starts selling.
I would sell too. Are you kidding me?
Amanuma is like, can we stop this? And Kurama's just like, well, I'm not gonna lose, so can you shut the game down? No? And the proceedings go as theorized. Kurama wins, Game Master dies, and Kurama is mad. Leading to basically my favorite Kurama moment. Angry Kurama is a maniac. He told Yusuke, boy, if you don't get out my way, decapitates this man in seconds.
Immediately.
Says,
oh, it stinks.
Now come out, Toguro.
And proceeded to put this dude into a sink fetus-looking Doom Tree-induced infinite genjutsu. I synced it, it was ruthless. It's a moment that always stands out to me because it's kind of the culmination of the deceptively dark and forgettable moments mixed.
You see this picture? You see this? I want this image to be seared into your brains, to see what I saw that day. The day that I realized that Kurama had awakened something in me. Look upon him. His grace, his elegance, his beauty. Look upon him and understand what he's done to me, what he will do to anyone else. Look and understand. All right, back to the video.
With Kurama's humanity and compassion. Because yeah, Kurama was mad at Sensui for putting him in that situation, but Kurama was also really bothered at killing a naive human child.
You don't know shit. You don't know shit.
And he was mad at himself for caring so much. It's the complete package of Kurama. Humanity, demonosity, and the struggle between the two. And it's a moment that makes me look back and put all of those pieces together like, oh yeah, Kurama is crazy.
Yeah, Kurama is that guy.
Of YuYu Hakusho does shed some more light on Kurama's history, giving us more insight into the kind of person that Kurama used to be. And yeah, he was pretty rough. Like Kurama, really? Did you really have to send an assassin after Yomi? You could have just said, you know, we're done working together. This insight does well to show us just how far he's come and the identities that he's been struggling with. His return to Demon World putting those two identities to the test, thus making it all the more impactful when Kurama basically decides who he wants to be, leaving his past and Yoko Kurama behind him. However, by this point, Kurama has already remade his mark for me. That moment in the cave and all the others before taken in with hindsight always jog my memory and remind me that, oh yeah, Kurama is scary, and I love him for it. But aside from being scary, he's also just extremely impactful, layered, and an invaluable piece to the group's success and dynamic. I rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho pretty often, so it's kind of sad that I always find myself in this cycle of Kurama. Oh! And I know that I will once again allow Kurama and all his deeds to fade to the back of my mind, upstaged by his peers. But in a way, I'm also glad, because every time I return to Yu Yu Hakusho, I really love rediscovering Kurama.
And I hope that this video helped you guys not only discover my love of Kurama, but also Kurama itself, because Yu Hakusho means so much to me. And the fact that a lot of people tend to like focus on like a lot of like, of course, the newer animes, like Yu Hakusho shouldn't be underrated. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, Kurama's hot. Thank you for watching. This is the Lost Stargazer. Again, Kurama's hot, and Kurama's hot.